the Smith and Wesson M&P-22. Go buy it. You will not regret it. You don't need to watch the rest of this video. But if you guys are going to watch the rest of the video, we're going to cover some more details, initial impressions, problems, because yes, there are a few, how to change sights, modifications, things of that nature. If you don't want to watch that, just go pick one up. You will not regret it. On the table here, we've got a full-size M&P-9. This is not my gun. It's actually my dad's gun. This is my personal M&P-22, excuse me, wearing a few modifications. Texel threaded barrel nut, not the full barrel, just the nut. It's been stippled by me. I know it looks terrible, but it is functional, and Trijicon night sights have been installed, as well as the safety removed. This is, again, my dad's M&P-22, mainly stock, no stippling. The only modifications are aftermarket sights. Well, they're actually M&P-9 sights that we took off. They will fit in the gun with minimal modification, and the safety's been removed on this as well. Again, this is my gun. It's got 1,500 rounds through it in the last 2 weeks. This one's got approximately 1,500 rounds through it. We're not exactly sure, but it's in that ballpark in the last 2 months. As far as ammo, any problems, this gun has got probably 75% of federal bulk pack run through it. So over 1,000 rounds of that with not a single malfunction. No failure to feed, no failure to extract or eject, not even a misfire with that ammo. This gun has had, again, approximately 1,500 rounds through it. Mostly Blazer, 40 grain Blazer, round nose. As well as some federal bulk pack and some Winchester. I'm not sure the grainage on that. It's had 2 failure to fires, just with either light primer strikes or just a bad primer in general on the Winchester ammo, which is relatively low quality as it is. Again, I don't blame the gun on that. I think it's just cheap ammo. But no malfunctions in terms of feeding or extracting on either of these guns in over 3,000 rounds. That's unbelievable with the 22. You guys who own Sig Mosquitoes or even Walther 22s, or P22 I should say, sometimes they can be finicky. I had a Mosquito a while back, a Sig Mosquito. It was not reliable. You had to run CCI Mini-Mags through it, which are a little more expensive, even for it to run halfway reliably. I sold it within a week. Was not particularly fond of it. I cannot say enough good things about the M&P-22. It is made by Walther, imported and stamped with Smith and Wesson obviously all over it, as well as mimicking the full-size M&P-9 MP40. I do not own a full-size M&P-9 or M&P40. However, it is so important to have trigger time behind anything that resembles a combat-style handgun. I carry a Glock 26 as my everyday carry. Run a Glock 19. When I'm not carrying and are running on the range or whatever, doing drills, that's my go-to gun. But even though this doesn't have the exact same ergos, it's all about running the gun, running the trigger, running your fundamentals through repetition, repetition, repetition. Again, you don't feel bad about running 500 rounds through this thing. It's 20 bucks or less. Okay, in one range session, we could easily run 1,000 rounds through these guns, and again, not feel terribly bad. Obviously, you can't do that every day. At least I can't. But it's not as bad as running 500 rounds of 9mm through and spending 100 bucks on ammo. I just can't afford to do that. So hence why these have been purchased. For those of you who are interested in comparing a real full-size centerfire M&P-9 to these guns, dimensionally they are extremely similar. Slide length, everything is the same. The M&P-22 weighs a little bit less, especially once they're both loaded. The M&P-22 weighs substantially less at that point, as well as the back straps not being removable on these. With the way the M&P-22 is configured, it's about the same size as the medium M&P-9 grip. The triggers are jointed, articulated, whatever you want to call them, just like the real thing, except dimensionally they're a little bit different. This has got way more of a curve. You don't really feel it. Once the trigger safety, if you will, is depressed, they have the same shape. They do feel a little bit different. This has got a safety mechanism built in where you're not allowed to fire without a magazine in. I think it's stupid. And these guns do come with safeties, with no option for no safety. However, it is very easy to take that safety off. It is ambidextrous as well. Maybe I'll do a video of that if there's enough interest on how to take the safety off of this. But it's very easy. There's information out there already for it. It shouldn't be an issue for you guys. Now about installing aftermarket sights. It's not an issue. You just drift the rear sight out, drift a new one in, very easy. Be sure that you're drifting, when you're taking the factory one out, be sure you're pulling it this way towards my right hand over here, out towards the right side of the gun, and then you're installing your aftermarket sight from this side. Again, there's 1,000 videos on this as well, but just to cover that, the only modification you have to do is on the front sight. Hopefully I'll be able to illustrate this with essentially no macro on this camera. The dovetail is dimensionally the same. It's just the bottom of the blade here is, it drops below the surface, if you will, of the slide. So you're going to need to file the front and the rear of the sight blade itself for it to fit properly in the dovetail. Again, be careful because you're installing a steel sight front and rear into an aluminum slide. Again, I've done it on both of these guns. This one's wearing regular M&P-9 sights. I've done it twice. No, that's not a lot, but I've not had any issues. It takes literally 10 minutes. Non-issue there. Same thing with taking the safety off. That's a 10-minute job, if not less. No issue. This one, again, is wearing a Tactical Solutions threaded barrel nut. The only thing I'll say with this is be sure it's tight. It does come with a threaded protector. I don't run it. I think they look kind of dumb. They look cooler this way, in my opinion. I'm not going to run a suppressor on this gun, being that I'm in Minnesota and we are not allowed to have those cool toys here. But what it does do is just removes or brings the carbon from the end of the barrel a little further away from the slide and recoil spring assembly. Where this gun, with the barrel exiting just about flush with the slide, it does build up carbon. 22's dirty ammo, lots of smoke and carbon and whatnot. And it does, again, there's been no failures, but it does kind of coat the recoil spring, coat the barrel with carbony dust. No, that's not an issue. It's just kind of a consideration, something that was cheap to add on and may help, may not. This thing ran over 1,000 rounds without cleaning. They're very reliable guns. I just figured I'd throw that in. You do have to remove this nut if it's going to be threaded before you take the gun down. As far as takedown is concerned, very easy. All you have to do is take this lever, pull it down and pull it out, and then bring the slide to the rear of the gun and lift up. Okay, that's it. Spring assembly, guide rod, we're going to keep that in. It's very easy. It only goes in one way. You can't screw it up. This gun is a little dirty. It's got approximately 500 rounds through it since the last cleaning. No issues. Again, they're very reliable guns. They are hammer fired. You can see the hammer located down in the lower receiver there. Contrary, obviously, to the full-size guns, which are striker fired. I don't think they could have put a striker in the slide on this just because it would add too much reciprocating mass to the slide. Obviously, with the 22, that's very important to have a light slide or reciprocating slide assembly. So I think they just decided to put a hammer in there for ease of operation, I guess. And to put it back together, just reverse the process. Very easy. Again, there's a ton of videos on this. We're not going to waste time. That's it. Now to criticism. Okay, there are a few things I don't like about the gun. First and foremost is that it came with a safety, which has been defeated, but it does have the safety mechanism that does not allow you to pull the trigger. This is empty, but will not allow you to pull the trigger if a magazine is out of the gun. I don't like that. You know, trigger discipline. Okay, that's all there is to it. Guns shouldn't have these stupid features, but they do. Can't change that. Another complaint is the finish on the slide. It looks like it's a Parkerized finish, contrary to the Melanite finish on the real M&P series guns. It looks good, it's fine and all, but it's not very durable. You can see that there is some holster wear on the front of the slide on my gun here. That's from maybe 100 or 150 holster presentations. Again, you can run your full-size M&P holsters with these guns with no issue. Dimensionally, they're the same. But again, the finish is not very durable. You can see it's starting to wear a little bit. That's not an issue for me. I think it looks cool and shows that obviously you're using the gun, but that may be a consideration for you. And finally, magazines are expensive. The gun comes with one. I bought 2 extras for I think they're $32 a piece. They're hard to find. Again, they're expensive. But when you're running the gun, slide locks to the rear. This is obviously a loaded magazine for this demonstration. But occasionally, if you insert the magazine with more force than is needed, you could say, this front round, or the top round, the front of the round will actually stick up above the feed lips on the magazine and then not feed properly into the barrel, or not even make it halfway there. Again, that's if you insert the magazine with more force than is required, which sometimes happens. I'm guilty as well. But let me just demonstrate that here off camera. You can see how that round, instead of feeding directly into the barrel, dislodged from the magazine just from its own inertia, and then obviously didn't feed and is now looking like a live stovepipe. It's not a difficult malfunction to clear. Obviously, you can just lock the slide back and that'll fall out, or use your hand and then rack the slide again. Again, this is empty. Get that out of the way. It's not a huge deal, just kind of annoying. But again, the magazines have been extremely reliable. The gun has been absolutely flawless in terms of reliability. And that's just one minor gripe I have about it. Another thing, when you're doing your speed reload and you're dropping magazines on the ground, you can see how skeletonized they are. I run in a fairly dirty, right now dusty environment. And they do get jammed up with dust and grit more frequently than, say, a Glock magazine or full-size M&P magazine, just because these are so much more open, typical to any 22 magazine. But that's just something to keep in mind as well. Other than that, guys, we're going to have some onboard shooting footage here coming up in a second. If you're on the fence about buying the gun and you've got $350 to spend, go buy it. I picked this one up for $325, brand new, before tax. This one was purchased at Gander Mountain, which they're notorious for high gun prices. I think we paid $350 or $359 before tax to pick this up brand new. So deals are out there, closer to $300, $350 out the door. You can find them. All right, just go buy the gun. Honestly, you will not regret it for a second. Other than that, here's some shooting footage. If you guys have any questions or want to see any specifics on these guns, just shoot me a PM or leave a comment. Thanks for watching. Shooting way left now. That barrel nut's coming off a little bit.